All right. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Andrew Young. We have Brian Ishiba, and our special guest today,
the illustrious
Huge Beatz, the biggest beats in the business.
All right. Well, let's just do a quick little summary of how we even know each other.
Yes, well, we were taking guitar lessons from the same guy, and he said there was one of his students that wanted to play with someone.
Which is me.
And then I was the other student.
Yep.
And then, so we met at a coffee shop. We got together, we played some shows, and then you saw my studio, and you said, I want to record, and I want you to record me. And that was the Same Difference EP, right?
That was the Same Difference EP.
Love the song on there. Love that sound. And then Brian, I know through you, he heard your EP and he said, "Oh, I love this sound. I want that sound." And then so we recorded, and that was so cool. You guys came here for that to Arizona, Tempe, Arizona.
We out here in Tempe, Arizona.
Representing the 602.
All right. Well, So we were like playing some shows and stuff too before recording the EP, but let's actually just dive into the story of the EP. Of Same Difference. My second EP that I put out a couple years ago, 2014, 15-ish. So I was writing some songs, playing shows around LA, and then once I got to meet you and you invited me to your little home studio.
Yeah, it was all this stuff, but in a much better space.
Oh, you think it was in a better space back then?
Well, yeah, I had it professionally built by like a studio maker.
It was like a back house, pretty much. Right?
Yeah, it was basically a detached garage, but I made it into a studio. It was nice, but actually like being in house. We're in my house. It's like a living room in my house. I like that better because my dogs can be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's more homey.
More homey.
Yeah.
How do I open this?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
All right. So, Same Difference. So I remember the process that we went through to make this EP. Luckily, we lived kind of near each other. Back then I was living in Northridge. You were living in Van Nuys.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember traveling to you was definitely easier compared to my first EP that I did in San Diego. So I kind of had to keep going back and forth from LA to San Diego. And so it was first of all, just like the traveling was much simple. And I remember going over to your studio, just kind of working on it for a few hours, a couple times a week, and then just kind of, letting it sit for a little bit, and then just kind of going back and forth on that. How long do you think the whole process took again? Was it like...
I don't even remember.
It was, yeah.
We ended up using a lot of scratch tracks.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember I just did like MIDI drums, and then you couldn't get a drummer, and you're just like, I'm just going to use this.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, we just ended up using MIDI drums.
I overdubbed some real hi-hats and stuff.
I remember you couldn't stand the MIDI hi-hats, so
so I overdubbed.
And so I was kind of writing the EP during the whole process too, actually. And let's talk about like who played what, and if you remember.
Did I play anything on it? I don't even remember.
Oh, you definitely did.
Really?
Back then.
MIDI drums.
Yeah, at least the drums.
Yeah, back then.
Or a hi-hat.
I only knew how to play chords and sing pretty much. I also did play some leads on that as well. But I remember watching you play drums was the most interesting part of the record for me, because one of the songs, Mixtape, you just kind of had your little electronic drum set up, and then it was I thought you were just practicing the parts, but then it was just one take of you playing the whole
And I
song.
stopped and I was like, well, lickety split. That's it.
Yeah, and so that one take on the drums ended up being like the actual recording of the drums for that song. So I thought that was actually pretty hilarious and awesome. And for me, actually, this EP was the first time I played like lead guitar on my songs. So
I remember that's something you told me is
Yeah.
you didn't feel your first EP communicated who you were as an artist, and you wanted to really be involved in this one.
yeah, like for my first EP, Treehouse, I kind of sat back and let the producer just kind of take control.
Which I love, by the way. I gotta say, I really
It's-
love that
I know,
EP.
it's
I
a
love a
great
lot of the
EP.
tracks and the production too.
Yep.
But it's and I'm definitely all about what you want. So
Okay. Yeah, and
that's
so
why-
for me, that was like a big step up for me to. Oh, that's also the reason why I started taking guitar lessons too, because I wanted to be able to, like on the record, like play lead guitar on my own.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of like a big step up for me to do that. And you did the rest of the instruments. You
I
played.
think I played bass and some
played
keys
bass,
and stuff.
keys, drums, mixing, production. Yeah, I think it came out awesome. Like,
Yeah, it's funny. Some of those songs, I'll be walking my dogs today, and I'll still hear them in my head. You know?
what would you say your favorite song off that record is?
I don't know the song names
Okay,
anymore, but
okay.
as I drive around for miles.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good ballad.
Yeah, I remember when you were mixing it or something, or just listening back, you're like, I don't want to pause it. I just want to finish it. Finish
Yeah.
listening to this.
Yeah, that one
So-
gets me emotional. I think it takes me back, like staying up late and working on it. And it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun working with you. So your lyrics and your songs just like take me back to my youth, which was like a
Yeah.
long time ago. So I miss those days. So it's kind of nice.
Well, so after we did the Same Difference EP, I remember I showed it to Brian, and that was around the time when Brian was like pretty much just starting like his artist journey and everything.
Yeah.
He did have like a self-recorded like garage band demo whole album
Yeah.
of songs that he put out, and then I mean we used to hang out a lot back then, and we still do, but
even more so back then.
yeah, and then like he wanted to start getting more serious with
Right.
why don't you do the explaining for how
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's
because
do
by
that.
that time I had moved, right? And
Yeah.
then
Yep.
I was surprised. I was like, wow, this guy likes what I had done for Andrew so much that he wants to come here and record it. I was flattered.
the way
I was
to
like, that's
Arizona.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's only a 6-hour drive.
Easy.
Yeah.
It's an easy drive. But yeah.
I remember when you came here, you were so nervous, and I put him in front of the microphone. I think it was this one, and you were just so like timid. I'm like, no, just let her rip. And then you came back. I think you were doing some shows here, and I came to see you, and you're like a totally different person. Like you'd come out of your shell, and it was really cool to see that.
Yeah. Cause when I was doing the whole garage band thing, that was part of the reason why I like to do everything by myself. Cause I'm like was less so now, but still kind of like painfully shy. Like I don't want people to hear me sing, kind of thing. But I wanted to make it, so I made it. And then I was talking with Andrew. We were kind of playing together more and more. And he's like, we gotta step up the game here. Like, no more of this garage band BS. And I was like, all right.
You need a mixtape, brah.
Yeah. And just around that time, I had met a couple of guys from Arizona, and so I had like a reason to come.
Were
out
they
here
cute?
As well. They were adorable, just like the cutest little butts.
You took it too far.
No, but it was a bunch of good guys. We were playing music together and stuff, and I think that was like kind of part of it as well. Where it's like, if we're gonna go out there anyway, I know Al.
Yeah. So they were here. So your band was here, and then I was here.
Wait,
so.
the band was
I mean, it was
just Cooper, right?
technically it was just you and me, but then we were
Okay.
gonna have Cooper play on the
I think you
drums.
came here on
Cooper
your
played
own.
drums.
You came here on
Yeah.
your own for the first session, right? Okay. cool.
That's probably why you're nervous too.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
didn't
I
really
barely
know
knew
me.
you, and I was like,
Yeah.
who the heck is this guy?
I'm just
And,
gonna
like,
drive over to Arizona.
Yeah, I think I'd met you one time, and you're just like, hi.
And also, like, I'm not a good singer now, but I was way, like, significantly worse then, and, like...
Thanks, Brian. Everyone says we sound exactly alike when they hear us. It's like,
what does that say about an
vocal
album?
timbre, but, like, I don't know. You did some magic on that EP, I swear to God. I was like,
well,
what?
hey, because I suck as a vocalist, like, I had to really hone those skills. So, vocals are kind of my specialty. Making them sound as good as they can, but with that, but still natural.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
You know, not like auto-tuned or something. So
Well, let's talk about the drumming on the record and how it started in the beginning and what it ended up with.
okay, so Cooper came in and played, so he brought in his drum. He plays so loud.
Oh, you guys recorded his drum set?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
He likes to hit hard. I think he's, like, of that Dave Grohl philosophy. where he
yeah,
wants to
yeah,
really-
and he's a good drummer in that style, right? And I think your EP needed something different. It just didn't translate well. I think it'd be good live, but in the studio it didn't translate well, which is fine. That's what the Beatles did, right? They replaced Ringo on the first few recordings with a studio drummer. Anyway, and we got a friend of mine that I knew from bands here, John O'Reilly, to play on it, and he
crushed.
he did, and it was recorded, you know, not to a click, or it was really not on a grid. So
Wait, the way John played?
no,
Oh.
Cooper. So by the time we got it to John, because we had recorded tracks
Yeah.
on top of the drums that were not really
Oh, okay.
to a click.
The drums were last.
Yeah.
Wait,
So-
how come it wasn't to a click?
Well,
It was.
the
kinda.
original drummer was off time a lot,
Okay.
speed up, slow down. So by the time John got it, he was like, "Whoa, what is this?" He's just gonna have to fly with it. You know?
Yeah.
But he did a really good job.
Yeah.
He works with a lot of big names.
He lives in Arizona?
He did, and now
Okay.
he lives in New Jersey, I think.
Okay.
But
he
he works
play-
with huge names.
Yeah, he did
so.
like the format stuff too, right? Like,
Yeah,
the-
and Jimmy World, a lot of big bands. So
I know he did like, some of the Jim Adkins solo stuff too. I think, right?
Yeah. So one of my favorite memories of working on the Sun EP is the name of the EP that.
Streaming now on Spotify.
So back then we were going as Royce, right? That was the band name, and
Yeah.
the EP that we're talking about right now was called The Sun. And so one of my favorite experiences of that record was probably after we recorded drums with Cooper, and then Brian showed me. I wasn't there for the recordings with Cooper, but then Brian showed it to me, and then I kind of had to break the news to Brian and say, "Yo," but then
it's not for you. It's
but-
not for our sound.
But then I remember we were still kind of going back and forth to Arizona just to like play shows or you know just to work more on the EP. And then on one of the drives back from Arizona to LA, we were just kind of having a conversation about drums and how they should be on a record and things like that. And I feel like you kind of had like a mind-blowing moment as we were listening to like
It was like a light bulb moment.
It was
maybe,
like a
where,
light
you
bulb
kinda
moment,
Understand it.
and I think you understood why the drums.
Right. Why they didn't work maybe
Exactly.
for that.
Do you want to kind of go into talking about like what you realized during that
Yeah.
moment?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play drums at the time, and like I never really played it with other people too. you
Yeah.
know? But like not really understanding like, oh, fills don't need to be like every 4 bars. It's like you know, like the Keith Moon era is kind of over. And so kind of having that realization that there's like a sort of a beat to hold it down maybe.
Yeah.
And like fills are kind of a tool to sort of help you transition maybe into the next phase. Doesn't have to always be
Right.
that, but that's like a good, I don't know,
Rule
starting
of
point.
thumb, yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And then also that it should be a pattern. Like the kick should be like, it's like one, like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and not like just like moving all over
Just
the place.
random, whatever you feel like
Yeah.
playing, depending on the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, something I learned early on, because drums were my first instrument, is in recording, if the drums sound good, the rest of the song will kind of fall into place. So yeah, if the drum sound is good, and you can give a good drummer a crappy drum set and he can make it sound good, but you can give a shitty drummer the best drum set and your record's gonna suck. So
Yeah, it kind of comes down to having a good song and kind of like good parts and good structures, right? As like the foundation of any song, really, right? To make it the best it can be.
I guess I'm just talking about instruments. Vocals most important, but even just musically, drums has to be like number one.
It's funny because that was the last thing we did on the record.
Well,
on this Sun EP, actually.
Not by choice, right?
Not by
Because the first
choice.
one didn't work out.
Yeah.
So we
I
had
played
to kinda...
I played guitar to Cooper's drumming. I remember.
Right,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
the drummer John had to play to your guitars
Yeah.
being
Played
played
to-
to a different. It's kind of back-asswards way
Yeah.
of doing it, but
Uh-huh.
it turned out pretty well. That was
Um,
good.
That's what
Good
matters,
EP.
right? The final product is what
Yep,
matters.
and even to this day, I still love that EP. Like,
Yeah.
I listen
It's
to
cool.
it.
Something
and,
special about it.
It's so good. Well,
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Hey there, Texas.
and you sang harmonies on that one too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
You sang
yeah.
harmonies. I remember when we were
Not that you could tell because we sound exactly alike. But
when we started playing those songs live, I had to really like listen into your harmonies and try to learn them.
Mhm.
And that was like a cool learning experience for me because that was the first time when I really had to like really dive into listening to the details of like every single notes in the harmonies.
Mhm.
And yeah, I kind of had to figure them out, and I was like, wow, these harmonies are so good, and like they just flow so well with the main melody.
You should have told me. I could have
Why?
just sent you the tracks instead of like listening to the two bus mix. Yeah, harmonies. I have like a affinity for harmonies. When I hear songs, when I sing along to them, I always sing the harmonies. I never sing the lead. So that's why I enjoyed performing with you.
Yeah.
Because I could sing the harmonies, which I
Was that-
really enjoyed
Was
doing.
that something that you always had, or like? Just
Yeah, I just had an ear for it naturally, even before music school. Just naturally would sing harmonies.
Interesting.
And then, so the drums were done remotely, as well as the bass, right?
Right.
Because we sent the recordings to Ed. Oh, Ed's the only one that played to John. Actually.
Yeah.
He's the only guy that.
He was like, wow, these drums sound so good.
Yep.
Not in time, really, but
Yeah.
they sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think you played bass in the beginning, I think, for like
Was it?
one of the songs.
Yeah, and then you sent it to Ed when we started working with John. Yeah.
And Ed was like, got this.
Yeah. It's nice to have people that just do one
Yeah.
thing.
That was
that
the
big
they're
thing,
good
'cause
at their thing.
I was totally happy to have you. I wanted you at the time to play bass, and I, still think it would have sounded great. But then you kind of said that, or like made that point for me, where you're like, but he's a bass player.
Yeah,
Like,
if you can get an
Yeah.
actual person, that's all they kind of live and breathe, do it.
Yep. So after.
Awesome transition. Yep. Next question.
Yeah. So far that's like two EPs that we've done with you,
Mm-hmm.
and then the latest one was the Good Night to That EP. Yep. So.
Now I still love a lot of songs from that.
Okay.
That
So Good Night to That is like kind of, I guess, like a secret band that I was trying to start. Like nobody knows about it because I never really gone too far with it. We just kind of did the EP and then we ended up kind of breaking up as a band. And so while I was still doing like my Andrew Young stuff, playing shows out in LA, I did meet two guys, Ed and this.
were they cute?
They just had these adorable butts.
But no more butt talk.
So yeah, I met Ed, bass player, and Reese, a drummer. I found him on Craigslist and they were good catches on Craigslist. It's hard. Craigslist is very saturated with
Bizarros.
bizarros. Luckily, I found some gems on there. Ed and Reese, and they were playing the Andrew Young songs with me live, and then I just started to really dig the vibe that we kind of had, and so I brought it up to them that we should actually become a band instead of them playing for an artist, and then came up with a name called Goodnight to That for the band. And then of course, I mean, we gotta have a record as a band. And so I started writing some songs again, and then brought them to you, and then I think
super different from what you had been writing.
Yeah, I was trying to go for a rock and roll vibe, because I was trying to break out of like the whole sensitive singer-songwriter. And then I forgot how our first session went. It was probably maybe I came here on my own
you
first.
recorded all the scratch tracks,
like
guitar
the
tracks,
and
vocals, and then you and Reese came here.
with Reese. It's crazy. I mean, Reese. I mean, I no longer really talk to him. He
moved, right?
He moved far away, and then
He just all of a sudden decided to kind of quit and move.
Yeah, and then that was actually a fun time though when Reese was over.
Yeah, we had a fun time.
We went to we were recording drums, and I remember when we were recording drums, we spent a lot of time kind of like checking out different cymbals and what we should use. And back then that was kind of like another learning moment for me, because I just thought crashes were crashes.
Yeah.
But they're definitely different tones and different crashes, and so
I'll tell you what we didn't do, which I was really surprised at, because he used my kit, right?
Yeah.
He just sat down and started playing, and I thought, just like a guitar, I thought he was gonna tune it.
Oh.
And so it didn't sound good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I thought he was gonna tune it, and then, because I mean, drums are like any instrument, you have to tune it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've been working on, and it's not like a guitar you can do it in a few seconds. It takes a while.
Yeah.
Because there's so many.
I remember I had
drums.
I did take drum lessons 2 years ago or last year for a couple months, and I did ask my drum instructor at that time like on how to tune the guitar, and he just gave me a whole
The drums, you mean?
tune the drums, and then he gave me like a whole 40-minute lecture on all these things, and it was really over my head, like just kind of tuning the top head and the bottom head and like finding the interval between those two, and
it's a whole other science. That's why they have people for that.
And then
there's a guy in LA, all he does is tune drums for recording sessions.
Damn.
Like he'll come and tune your drums, and you'll pay him a couple $100, I think, and then, but they sound good. And if you don't know how to do it, you can't just like look up a video and do it. It takes some practice.
It takes experience and practice.
So it's worth it.
And then, so we recorded drums all in one day. We did 4 songs, right? Four songs, and and then after that, I think I sent the tracks to Ed to play bass on, right? And Ed sent the bass tracks back to you. And then at that time, I mean, I was still playing, shows here and there out in LA with Ed and Reese, and then like we just kind of ended up splitting up as a band, mostly because like Reese was just kind of like having just kind of
with
like
his girlfriend, right?
like
girl
things,
trouble.
like
no money, no
girlfriend
problems,
and like what to do next in like his career, because he just moved out to LA to do music, and then like he was trying to like hop onto like different things, and then I guess like he kind of didn't want to start in a band and like build it up from the ground up and things like that. And also like he just kind of for many different reasons, he says he had to like move. So eventually, I mean, ultimately, the Goodnight to That just kind of ended up like fading
but
out.
even before that, you weren't happy with the sound of the EP. You said it didn't have like a through line. It didn't have a feel. Like you said, each song sounded too different, right? It didn't sound like a band. I remember you saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, like you sent the tracks to a different producer
Did I?
for his opinion. And I think that's what he told you, and you're like, yeah, okay, maybe that's a problem.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you sent it to Jess.
David.
Oh, David.
David. So that was the thing, cause I mean, this is a conversation I had with Ed, but Ed was like, what's gonna be like our sound?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and back then I guess I wasn't really sure what he meant by that. I was kind of like, we'll just play, and that's what the sound becomes.
Yeah, whatever sound comes out, that's our sound.
That's like it's just we'll figure that out when it's done. and so I mean, now I definitely have a better idea of like how to like have like a general sound in mind and try to like
Before,
kind of produce it in that direction.
I still love that song, I'd Rather Be.
That one's a cool one.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's like a late night song.
And then how did it even and then so because like the bands pretty much didn't really work out, just kind of faded out, like the songs were just kind of sitting, I think, and then like but then like I just wanted it to be done anyways, and so like I started talking to you more about it, and then you finished it up.
Yeah,
sent it
just
over.
get it out there.
Just get it out. I just upload. It's still up there. Like if anyone wants to check it out, it's on Spotify and all those streaming platforms.
Do it, Brian.
On Apple Music now.
Available now.
Yep. Everywhere. So yeah, that's just kind of buried out there in the world. But it's out there to listen to though.
What's it called?
It is called Good Night to That, and the EP is like a self-titled EP. Good Night to That EP. Well, anything else you'd want to add on to that whole project?
Those are good tunes, man.
No, I hope we can continue. You know what I liked is playing with you guys. I played drums with Royce when you guys were here. We just kind of threw that together.
Yep.
Played a show. That's where you met. Well, never mind. Now you're with someone else.
But it was funny. Like one little rehearsal, like kind of went through it, and then just went in there and crushed it.
And that was the last stop of the tour that we were on, actually.
Yeah.
So you want to just quickly do a little explanation on that tour and like how we ended up playing that show in Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to book like a little acoustic tour to do
for the Royce stuff, right?
For the Royce stuff, because I've been playing with this other band for a little while, and they were just like all about that DIY punk spirit. And like, yeah, let's just book shows and sleep on people's floors. Let's do it. And like it's wild, but also kind of admirable. It's just like just to do it. Like who cares?
Right.
And so I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that too. And because I'd met so many people over the course of those years, I thought, oh, I could probably do one. So I kind of threw one together, and so we made that happen. It was a little like Southwest run, and the last show happened to be Tempe or Phoenix, and it was kind of like a nice one too, because I feel like we ended up playing almost as many shows in Phoenix as we did in LA. And so we did that and kind of talked to you about it. You're like, hey, let me hop like.
Let me play drums, yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, huh?
Because I knew all the songs, right?
Like, not like I did the harmonies and mixed it or anything.
Yeah. I remember you guys did that tour. I really admired it. I was like, man, they're out there playing, touring, like a different city every night.
Yeah.
And I'm just here making my beats in my beat lab, yo.
I mean, I feel like the results speak for themselves.
Well, yeah, you're sleeping on someone's floor, and I have this wonderful studio. No, it's different though, because as artists, we're all insecure, like you said, and that's something I've been wanting to do is go out there and play, which I'm finally doing now, but it's taken a long time. It's taken certain circumstances to push me to do that. But I just thought that was cool that you're like, screw this, let's just do it. I don't care that we're maybe not as polished as I'd like to be. Let's just get out there, get the songs out there, sleep on whoever's floor, and go on to the next town. It's just like really cool. I really commend you guys for that. And thank you for having me play on it. That was
you did
a lot of fun.
Killed it.
Yeah. If it wasn't for you.
It's funny. I'm just a drummer. Like, no one even pays attention to me, but I was like so nervous. I'm like,
oh, were you?
Yeah.
You don't.
That's why I don't like to play in front of people, because I get super nervous.
That was like probably. I mean, you don't play drums live at all, really, do you? Or?
No, but drums. a lot easier than guitar where you have to
it?
think about chord changes and
okay.
stuff. Drums, you just pound out a beat.
You hold it down.
Yeah.
It's funny. You came in with those tiny little drums.
Yeah,
mini
like
drums.
Yeah.
portable. It's like a kid's drum set.
That was like the talk of the night.
I was
Everyone
like,
"No, no, no."
animal.
But just plop that 58 into the kick and then just
Was it?
sound. Yeah, I remember.
Punk rock.
That was like that was it. They're like, we have 3 mics. All right, cool. Put one in the kick.
Just
That's
need
fine.
one.
And so, there we go. My next little transition.
Yep.
Yeah. So after the tour and goodnight to that and everything, I knew I had to still make music because once I decided to do goodnight to that, I was like, I'm done with Andrew Young, and so, but I still wanted to just make music, regardless, and so, I mean, I was kind of inspired by Brian because he was, recording his demos on his own through GarageBand and like a little interface, and I was like, dude, I need to start doing that too. So then that's when I called you and like I wanted to just ask you questions and some recommendations on like how I should, have my own first little setup so I could just start, writing songs and demoing out.
Which is tough for me as kind of because you're one of my clients, right?
Okay.
And I'm basically telling you how to do all this stuff yourself. But we were friends by then, so I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll tell you all my secrets, my trade secrets.
Yeah, and so you did, give me like some recommendations on certain things that I should get to get started. And then my whole mindset at that time was, I just need to write and then just like make rough recordings of it so I can just like, listen back and demo out songs. And then that's when like I really start to get into music production too. Like I originally I was like, I'll just, have a little decent setup good enough to do vocals and guitar, and then I'll go to Al to like record drums and have him mix and produce and everything else. And then like as I kind of I have a pretty like obsessive personality. Like if I really get into something, I just go full into it. And so as I was like learning how to use Cubase and like collecting gears, I was like it was kind of like a snowball effect. It first started off with I'm just gonna record guitar and vocals and make demos, and then eventually led into I want to start recording drums. Like I need more inputs in an interface, and I started upgrading my interface, and then I was like, I could just do drums here. I don't need to go to any studios anymore. And then
it was exactly the same for me. I think it's a natural and a typical progression.
Yeah.
I was going to a different some other guy's studio to record, and then I'd be like interested. I'm like, I think I could maybe do this a little better. Like 'cause I have my own ideas. Right? Let me. I got this. But I didn't have all that gear, so I started buying little gear here and there, and then started doing my own recordings. And same thing. I just started doing this, and now you're doing it right for other people. So
I remember like Brian was. I mean, we used to live together, and Brian was kind of like my lab rat in a way. I would always, yo, Brian, what you doing? And I would just constantly just try to record Brian, and I was like, yo, dude, can you just play guitar and sing something? Because I just want to like practice like mic settings or like mic placements and just like things I could do in the mix for like how to track.
Wow, you're lucky, man. I had to pay for that. He's like bugging you.
I know, right? It's like, hey, can you play drums for a second? And we like drag the whole kit right in front of his room so the little cables could reach.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I only had like a 2-channel interface, so I was trying to make it work with just 2 mics on a drum.
Yeah.
And then like just little things like that. I was just trying to record anything and anyone that I can at that time just to keep practicing and getting better. And then like I just kept collecting gears and upgrading and watching tons of videos on just like how to do each little thing, bugging you about how to do things.
You're so lucky you have YouTube, because when I did it, we didn't have YouTube. And you're lucky you had someone like me who could ask questions.
Seriously.
I couldn't ask that guy. I don't think he would have answered me.
Who?
The guy I was recording with.
Okay.
We're actually still friends, but I didn't feel like I could ask him. I just had to like watch and kind of learn by osmosis, which,
And that's and you know through all that like I mean that's how like I started to consider you as like a mentor, not just like in music but we you know just like in life stuff as well. And yeah, like I
Well,
just
I'm flattered, but you progressed like so fast because I didn't have a mentor in YouTube. You know, my progression was kind of, you know, slow, but yours was like whoosh. Like all of a sudden he calls me one week, he's like, what program should I use to record? Then he calls me the next week, he's like, okay, so I'm recording drum. I'm like, what, you're recording drums already? You just got a computer.
Yeah, and then that's when I started working on the next EP, and that's when I also decided, oh man, I just got to do the Andrew Young stuff again because I didn't want to, you know, put in all this energy to start another band or like, you know, anything like that. And also, when I was telling like my friends and other people that I'm done with the Andrew Young stuff, I'm just trying to like start some new projects with the band, I felt like I kind of let people down because they were all big fans of the whole Andrew Young stuff. And then yeah, and I just decided to make another EP under Andrew Young again. And then that's when I started working on the Cocoon Days EP. And one of my favorite moments of working on that EP was actually when I came to Arizona again just to like ask you for like mixing advices, and so I think you did like do a rough mix on a song of mine, and then you know showed me like how to cut the low frequencies of like pretty much all the tracks to get rid of the mud.
Yeah.
And then like you kind of showed me like how a compressor works. Like honestly, I was just sitting right here watching you do that, and I was at that point I kind of had a better understanding of like how things should go in a way, compared to like when I was doing the Same Difference or the Good Night to That EP. Like I had no idea about any of this stuff, and so I had a little more knowledge on production and mixing, and so watching you explain like the simple EQing and compression stuff really blew my mind, and so absorbed as much as knowledge as I can, went back home to LA, started recording more, and then I ended up like mixing all 5 of the songs on that EP. I can't say the mixes were amazing or anything, but it is what it is for how long I've been doing that. And so that whole,
like I said, you've gotten
I was
better
obsessed.
a lot.
Like,
Yeah, it shows.
I couldn't stop. Like I would, and then
yeah,
so,
when I heard those mixes, I'm like, oh, this guy's never gonna hire me again. Shit.
He's off on his own.
Yeah.
He's doing the thing now.
And then so when I started getting my whole recording set up to when I finished that EP, I think it was like a 6-month time frame actually, because I remember I started collecting all my little gears around June of 2016, and then I put out the EP in December of that.
I love that he
same
keeps
year.
saying gears in the plural, by the way.
Gears, all the gear.
Like we're in a car.
Yeah, he's just been collecting all.
My gears is.
Gears is. Well, yeah, and I pretty much, so for that EP I did drums in another studio because I just met this guy and he was nearby, and that's when I met Joe, right? Another Craigslist musician. Met Joe mostly because at the same time I was doing the Cocoon Days EP, I was also playing with Brian and the whole Royce band stuff. And so we were looking for a drummer for Royce, and that's when we found Joey.
Thank you, Craigslist.
And then you stole him.
And then borrowed him for my record, had him play, and of course Ed played bass on that again. So yeah, that's the story of that EP. So you definitely did play a huge part in that as well, of just like
Not
dropping
directly,
knowledge.
but
indirectly.
Like a loving parent figure, just
Yeah.
watching his children blossom.
I cried, giving you away at the wedding.
I was thinking first day of school, but
Oh,
for that.
All right. Well, I mean, the next couple of questions that I had is more about your creative journey, actually.
Me, my favorite subject.
So I wanted to ask you, when did you get started in music production, and like what inspired you to get started? I know it's been a long journey for you so far, but like,
Yeah, I'm still on it.
yep.
So I started playing drums in, I can't remember, 6th grade, I think.
How
Because
many years ago was that?
I don't want to say. But at the time, they didn't have a separate music class. So in order to take music, they had to pull you out of like history or something
Okay.
else, right? Which I liked
Yeah.
because I found school kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
So I, they took, and I was really good. Like you, I get obsessed with things, and
Yeah.
I was reading like drum music, and the guy who also wanted to get out of class, he was just trying to copy what I was doing. Like I'm reading the music, and he's just trying, like looking at me and kind of trying to do what I'm doing, which was not working out. Obviously, someone had done their homework. So, and I've always like kind of like sang as a kid, just like sang. Both my parents were musicians. My mom was a piano teacher. My dad was like a singer, opera singer, and not professionally, but. And then after that, drums weren't enough. It wasn't melodic enough for me, so I picked up the guitar and started writing songs. And then, yeah, some bands in high school, and then college, I started thinking I want to write music for commercials. Like I want to write commercial music for TV and stuff, which I started doing. So when I was 26 or 27, I licensed a song to a Latin record label. I was like sending, so long ago, I was sending CDs through the mail.
Yeah.
And they would listen to them, and then I licensed one for $7,000, and that gave me money to and that was a long time ago, to move to LA. So I took that money, moved to LA, and I just temped for a year, just working odd jobs, as I was also still writing music and stuff. And then I, licensed some other songs to some Latin record labels. And then I realized, like, I want to do, like, film TV stuff. I like pop music, but I didn't like how the business of it worked. So I moved to, it was hard, it's hard. And I thought for some reason film and TV was going to be easier, which I was wrong. But so then I moved into writing for commercials and TV shows and film. Then I got into audio because people pay for jobs that are technical. They don't pay as much for jobs that are creative, like writing music. There's people lined up to do it, right? Like playing at a coffee shop, people will do it for free, but running sound, people will pay for. Mixing a film and doing sound effects, people will pay for. But writing music for a film, people will do for free. So I got into that stuff, which I've been doing. So I do a mix of stuff now, from commercials, TV shows, independent film, music, but also audio, sound effects, from ADR, like replacing the voices of the actors, to sound effects. And then mixing in surrounds, to have the surround speakers.
Yeah.
So
did you go to like any school or have any formal education?
no, it's really before any of those schools. Now they're very popular, and they're
There's one
super
here
expensive.
in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, there's a really popular one here, a CRAS, Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences, which is huge ripoff, man, huge ripoff. When I figured out how much it is, or when I found out how much it was, I took some classes like at MCC, just kind of basic Mesa Community College, basic recording. Didn't really learn stuff that I didn't already know, because I didn't have YouTube. I still had the internet, and like you, I just read everything I could, and I'd read different techniques, and I'd go home and try them. I didn't have Brian to record his drums, but
Dance monkey.
yeah. So like that, just self-taught. I think a lot of people are just self-taught.
Yeah.
But it's so much faster now with YouTube videos and stuff. I had to just read text, to other people's ideas.
So would you say like what do you think is the main difference between like going to like a school to learn that versus like self-learning?
I think with school it's more structured.
Yeah.
And I think in my, now I've got a lot of things covered, even though it took a while. I was just telling you guys it took me years to get a drum sound that I really like and am happy with. And I think there's people who are self-taught, there's holes in their game, right?
Yep.
So I think there's some holes, like not a lot, but there's things that I kind of missed out on until I could. Because when you go to a school, they have, like, let's say I wanted to learn, because I taught myself surround mixing for film and TV. It was kind of ridiculous because you're supposed to do that on a stage, like you're in a movie theater, so you can hear how it's actually going to sound. But I had to do it by doing it in my little studio or a home, and then they'd take it and they'd either get rejected, and I learned a lot. Like, I learned a lot of hard lessons the hard way. Like, things got rejected and clients got charged money, and they like came back to me all angry, and I'm like, sorry about that.
Oops.
But that's kind of all. I didn't have a choice, they didn't have a school back then. So.
I think it takes like a huge amount of just like self-motivation and self-drive to really be able to learn all this stuff on your own, especially because there's different types of learners for sure. Like some people learn better when they put themselves into like a system where they can go through all the process that a school or a teacher kind of puts you through, while some people kind of learn better on their own and they're just more motivated to learn all these things. And so I think just from hearing you explain about all this, I feel like you're better at kind of self-teaching yourself more than
I am. I like to learn things on my own, and I also like to be alone. I'm not like a super social person, so that helps. And I think when I was younger too, I had more balls. Like when you had the balls to go on this tour and just let it all hang out. The stuff I did when I was younger, I would never do now. Like the way I got my first surround mixing gigs. Like my friend asked me, "Can you mix in surround?" I said, "Yeah, of course." I only had 2 speakers. I had no idea. And it's not something you can just watch a video on and do it. It takes literally months of preparation to get it's like compression to get your head around how to do it and all the levels and everything. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I mixed it in surround, just kind of envisioning in my mind what I thought it should be like. And I sent it to him. He didn't say anything like, this sounds like crap or you redo this. So, and then he paid me. I took that money and I bought surround speakers, and then I actually started doing it. So I wouldn't do that at my age now, which shall remain unsaid. But
I think a lot of this whole process is about just kind of like taking on gigs, whether you know you can do it or not, and just kind of just going for it and kind of learning it on the way, and then like
a lot more doors open for you when you say yes than no.
Yep.
So.
Well.
Yep.
So I mean,
Life lesson.
Transition.
Life lesson: more doors open when you say yes. Well, we were kind of talking about how you were kind of like the shyness that you have was kind of like holding you back from being an artist in a way, and you were more of just kind of like a studio guy and just kind of taking on gigs.
I think that's why I like to work alone.
Yeah.
I mean, as nervous as you were, I was probably equally as nervous. Like, what's this guy gonna think of my production skills? And no, seriously, I think. And you have that imposter syndrome too. You heard of that? Where, and I think I have that, especially for those of you that don't know. That's when you think that you're faking it, and everyone kind of can see that, right? And I think I have that, or had it. Probably just got rid of it recently, because I didn't have any formal audio engineering training, right? Yeah. So it's like I just taught myself, like, what. These people can see all the holes in my game, They can tell that I've never mixed in surround before. Yeah. When really, I know probably more than a lot of people, because I've been doing it for so long. Yeah. And been screwing up and learning from my mistakes. Yep. So.
And so I was going to ask you, what do you think the main difference is between, like, someone who's pursuing like an artist route compared to someone who's like more of a working musician who's not really concerned about pushing their own personal original music, but they're just trying to like do musical things to get work and gigs? Like,
I think you're an artist when you're younger, and you're a musician when you're older. And I mean, when you're younger, you have this idea of your vision that you want to communicate to people and how things should be. And when you're a musician, you're just like, blah, 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 give me my money, bye. And it's a lot of things though. It's like dating or anything else. When you're younger, you go on a date and you spend like 2 hours getting ready, and you make sure you smell good, and you like, oh, you pop all your zits, and you make sure you look good. And then when you're older, you just like show up all unshaven and, you know, drunk and all BO from the gym. You're like, what's up? Oh, you don't like this? Okay, bye. you just, there's not enough hours in the day to worry about what people think and stuff. So, but I think some of that is lost. That's why I liked your guys' music, because it took me back to when I was younger, when I was doing this stuff. And I was more artistic versus just kind of getting things done, working. So I think that's the main difference. One is focused on getting the job done, and the other is focused on communicating their artistic vision.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the songs that you've been working on recently. First one being Secret Sauce.
Secret Sauce. That was homework by you, because you asked me if I had any songs that you could practice mixing on.
Exactly. Or just production, actually. Yeah.
And I didn't. And I'm the type of guy that I think that's why I've been able to work is I don't do anything unless I'm given work to do. So I say yes to a lot of projects just because of that reason alone. It's like I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah, because go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, that was still around like, you know, like my first year of, you know, doing the whole producer thing, and more than like working on my own songs, I wanted to see what it's like to produce another song. And so that's when I reached out to you and like kind of proposed like a thing where I was like, yo, do you have any songs that you can maybe send me like a skeleton version
stems,
of, so I can just kind of like build that up and try to make it into like a fully produced song.
So I take that as a challenge. I'm like, okay, well, I don't nothing recent. So I started writing. I'm like, well, what should I write about? And then I was driving in the car, and just that line came to me. Let me put my secret sauce between your all beef patties, and like a McDonald's commercial or something. And then I was taking some trip. I don't even remember where, but I just wrote it all on an airplane. I just like typed it out on my phone. It came out. It's one of those things. Everyone says like, oh, it was just magic. We just came together, and it was an overnight success. But it was like that. It was just like one airplane ride, and I wrote it. I was like, God, it's flowed out. It was amazing. And then
these are just the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I came home and I recorded. I write a lot in my head though. When I go to bed, I've been working on Summer Love Winter Muff, the B-side. So I wrote this song, and it actually turned out really cool. I liked it. I sent it to you, and he's like, I don't think I could do anything with this. Yeah. So he like didn't even mix it or anything.
It was already so good. I was like, what am I gonna add to this? Like,
that was too bad. I was waiting to see what you were gonna do.
Yeah.
And then I took that, and I thought, I like that sound I got, and it was fun. So now I'm working on a B-side to it, and I want to do a music video, which I described to you guys. It's gonna be pretty outrageous. Gay guys dumping milk on themselves and stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Well. Just
gonna...
Yeah, gay guys. Anyway.
Are they cute?
Their butts.
Adorable butts.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Everyone loves adorable butts.
Yeah. Right.
Well, let's talk about the next one that you shared with us, which was Old Friends, right? What was the story behind that one?
I started writing that for my dog that passed away.
Ooh.
Yeah. and I just couldn't get it to. I wanted it to read like a song about an old friend, but then it could also be about a dog, and it just wasn't working. I couldn't do it, so I just gave up, and I just made it about, old human friends, like friends you've known since your childhood, So it just kind of turned into that, but that was fun. I like the melody a lot on that one. I like the chorus is really hooky, and of course a lot of harmonies, like 3-part harmonies, which I do a lot. So
it's a great one too, because it was also funny because that came after Secret Sauce. It's like, oh, I made this new song called Old Friends. I was like, okay, well, all
totally
right.
different.
And then,
Yeah.
Whoa, you got kind of serious on this
whoa,
one.
this is, like, serious. And good in the traditional sense. And
Yeah.
not,
I know you're a huge country fan too, and
Yeah,
so
that one's
I think that one
very
really
country.
translated your country rock vibes to it.
And so I've been writing music and songs for a long time, so I can do serious stuff, but I have kind of a nutty sense of humor, so that's when I also like Secret Sauce.
Yeah.
And the B-side, Summer Love, Winter Muff.
And lastly,
Yep.
Go.
Yes.
But you don't want to. Who's it sponsored by? This podcast? Did we not do that?
Unfortunately, we don't have any sponsors.
Summer Love, Winter Muff. Brought to you
Brought to you
by
by-
Gillette.
Oh.
Yep.
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 What's lastly?
Lastly, Midnight Dreams. That's the last one you shared with us. I know
Oh.
we did talk about this a little bit during lunch and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah.
That was another homework exercise.
Was it?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I got a new drum kit, and I was really working on getting drum sounds and just playing with different compressors and different setups where I wanted to be able to just hit record and record a good drum sound, and I couldn't get a good drum sound. I spent months trying to figure out what was it. I bought new heads and tuned the room, bought new drums, tried different compressors, tried different preamps, tried different mics. I mean, everything. I couldn't get it to sound the way I wanted it to. And then one day, like, all the stars were aligned and just like, and it finally clicked, and I got a good drum sound. And I was like, I need a song to record these drums to, but I didn't want to like start from scratch.
Okay.
So I was thinking about my old songs, and that one kind of came. I was like, that's kind of simple. It's like a slow beat. I don't need to really practice it. I could just play it. And that I wrote for a film called It's a Dog's Life. So it was a scene. It was one of those dog movies, kind of like not talking dogs, so they didn't have CGI, but it's like the life of these dogs and how they relate to the humans. And there's all this kind of drama that doesn't really exist. It's just written into the script. But the scene was a pit bull who's owned by like a gangster, and he goes to the beach and he's looking at this like surfer guy and his dog, and just how his life would be different because he lives in like the city. Yeah, now it makes sense, right? The lyrics make sense. So he's like kind of wishing like, oh man, what if instead of living in like this dirty city, what if I lived by the ocean, and what if I was owned by this guy, and what would my life be like? And so I was watching him literally surf in slow motion. The camera was in slow motion surfer, and that's what he's kind of wistfully thinking about. And then I decided, you know what, this is a good enough piece of music. I can make it into a song, because it was a short scene. It was only a minute and a half or something. So I basically copy pasted. So now it's 3 minutes. And I wrote another verse, and I just kept the pre-chorus and the chorus the same, and added a little tasty solo, and I'm gonna call it done once I record the second verse.
So most of the song was done like.
Everything was done. The drums were different. It was just like a drum loop, which didn't really sound like a drums with a backbeat. It was more like bongos sounding stuff, like percussion, versus something with a strong beat. And as you heard, it sounded like it came out like a hip hop loop or something, old school. So that was fun. Again, homework that kind of gave myself.
When you first sent me that song, and the first verse came in your vocals,
falsetto. Yeah.
I was blown away. Like, honestly, like, it was so refreshing because it sounded like nothing I've ever heard before too. And and so I just wanted to ask, like, what inspired that melody? I guess, like, cause it's kind of especially in like a singer songwriter type of song.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very common to hear like a high falsetto vocal come in like for the first verse.
Yeah.
And it was a very interesting melody too, and it sounded so good. Like, I just wanted to ask about like what inspired you to come up with that.
I don't get a lot of inspiration anymore because when you're working, people always ask you like, how can you keep this inspiration up when you're under the deadlines or something? Like, you can't. You just have to do it. You have to finish it.
Okay.
Which is what I was. I think they gave me a piece of music. They're like, I kind of like something like this. This to me sounds like beach music, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay. So I listened to that. So I kind of took that music and I modeled my song after that, like not too closely, but kind of had the same vibe. And if you just mute the vocals, it could they both evoke like beach sort of, maybe like Jack Johnson or something, right? Kind of mellow stuff.
Yeah.
And then the falsetto, I really don't know. I've always been good at singing falsetto, so I just tried it in there. Maybe we'll put a link to the song we're talking about.
I really hope you do put out these songs one day.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They're all good ones.
But it starts off, what if I lived by the sea, far away from the city? Yeah, so, and then a lot of harmonies. It sounds kind of like the Beach Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Not intentionally, but that's how it came out. So it's nice. Yeah.
Would you ever put out like another album?
I was thinking about that
because like 4 songs.
Yeah, well, they don't all jive, but I was thinking maybe Secret Sauce, Midnight's Dream, which I'll probably change the title now because Midnight was the dog and this is his dream he was having.
Oh.
So I don't know what I'll call it. And now Summer Love, Winter Muff. Girl, I can't get enough of your love. But I think those will all have kind of the same vibe. So I think I might maybe do my own little EP, huh? You guys can support you guys on your next tour.
Yes.
Go.
Hey guys, Huge Beatz. I have CDs for sale. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah, I have so many CDs in my house right now. Like, it's a pretty sad.
Of which one?
abundance.
All of them?
All of them.
All of them.
I have too much.
Yeah.
I need to do some kind of like bundle deal where like I'll sell all of them, like one of each for like, I don't know, a very low price just to get rid of them.
Yeah.
It just takes up space.
Yeah. Streaming,
Yeah.
baby.
I know, streaming's the way to go.
Hey, I still have my DVD collection. Just kidding, I don't.
All right, well.
So,
Yep.
Yes, go ahead, Brian.
oh no, I was just doing the transition.
Your transition. Those were good times. Yep. Anyway.
Yep. Well, let's start to wrap it up. And so I was gonna ask if you guys can just kind of like share what you guys are been up to lately, and what you guys plan to do next, or anything you want to plug in. Just go ahead.
Well, me, like I just mentioned, I think I want to do an EP, short though, like 4 songs or something, with those songs, and a video for Secret Sauce. That one deserves a video. This is the year. I'm gonna lose 10 pounds and make a sexy music video
Let's
for
go.
sure.
Falls Fez, you can get one of those sweet T-shirts with the abs on them.
Yeah, why not? Cut some corners. That's it. I'd like to work with more people too. It's really dry here in Arizona, so different from LA. I think there are people, but the quality is just so low here. I look through the musician ads all the time just to see what people are doing, and we'll do some when we turn this off. It's a joke, man. The people, it's like a joke song. It's like, are you serious?
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So it's kind of depressing. I'm just doing my own thing now over here. What about you, Brian?
Started up a new band, and
Same name?
different name.
What is it?
The band is called Joy Weather.
Hmm.
And so, in the midst of recording an album, and it feels like it's going to take an eternity.
Why the change of name? Because new people, or?
So, same group of guys, minus one Drew Young.
Good.
Yeah, no,
Nothing but
riddance.
headaches.
I know. I don't
Didn't
need
wanna
that
be in it
talent.
anyways.
I don't need that talent in my band. Okay. Competence. Get out of here. No, it's just Royce is a hard name to find anything for, and then
Royce the 5'9".
that was always the fucking thing that came up. So, that and like there was a whole album worth of songs, and like I was trying to write a little bit happier.
Mm-hmm.
And thought, maybe this is a good time for a gear shift, and then also we can all kind of feel like this is a new thing, this is our thing, and we can kind of get a new start on it.
I remember the second EP you did had like a totally different happy vibe, like you were doing like real jazzy and upbeat, and that was really cool. I like that
solo,
too.
Brian it was under Brian Ishiba.
Yeah, I put out a little solo EP too.
And here's a little advice for you guys over there. You aspiring young songwriters, no one likes like super slow, depressing shit. Like, no one wants to go out and hear that, right?
Okay.
They want to go out and hear like upbeat songs. So that was really refreshing. I mean, your songs on the first one were dark, but they were still like up tempo and exciting.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So they were. And the drummer, by the way, John, I think I told you he really liked the songs. He wouldn't have said so if he didn't like it.
Yeah, it's just I couldn't help but be skeptical. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
thought
this
you
guy
were being
works
nice.
with the format and
Yeah,
Jim
it's like,
Atkins.
okay.
Like, no, he's a big fan of like indie music, so he knows what's good, man.
Okay.
And he thought he's the first guy that told me.
Right.
I thought that was you singing.
Like, excuse me.
Remember when you criticized your singing and I got offended?
When did that happen? Don't roll back the tape. No.
45 minutes. Wow, old school.
But yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
Joy Weather. All right.
Joy Weather.
Gonna be out this year.
Yeah, definitely out this year, and then maybe I'll do another solo album or something. I got a stockpile of
Got
songs.
songs for
So
days.
just
All
gotta
right.
get through them.
Maybe we'll work together yet.
Yeah.
Time
And-
will tell.
Time will tell.
All right.
Yourself, you got anything coming up?
I mean, I just put out an album this year, Forever Cruisin'.
Mhm.
It's still out there. It's still kind of fresh. It's still the year that I released it, so it's out there. You can stream it if you want to.
What's it called?
It's Forever Cruisin'.
Wait, you gotta.
Forever
Available
Cruisin'.
now on
Also-
MySpace, or
LimeWire.
Friendster, Napster.
Huzzah, guys! Come on. You
Download it to your
dinosaurs.
Zune music player.
Oh, what a hit product.
In the WMA format, okay, Windows Media Audio.
Yeah, I mean that's it for me really. I'm just trying to get more shows.
But you're producing tons of people, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say tons. It just seems like that because I'm doing like a song for. I'm not doing like records.
Because you
anything,
sent
I'm
me
just
a
kinda,
whole bunch of videos. You like sent me
Yeah,
all
I
these
sent you-
videos
yeah.
of people you've produced. Like that's what I do in 2 years. You just sent me, here's like one person, here's another, here's another, here's another. So it was a lot.
I mean, it's I'm putting myself out there. I'm just reaching out to people. I'm just like doing free work because I mean
Yeah.
like it's just for the exposure I guess and just like
Your typical
building
fee.
up the usual rate of
The usual rate of nothing. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're better at that than me. You're more social, and you have like a
guess.
bigger circle of friends that you can kind of reach out to and
Yeah,
stuff. So, because I haven't done
just building it
squat
up.
since you guys. Really.
Yeah, it takes a lot. I mean, it's not easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have a stockpile of songs too, so.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. I think that was a great little session that we just had, actually. I think it went a lot longer than we planned, but I think hopefully this is valuable information to whoever's listening.
Yeah,
We're
I
just-
think
we're just
this
trying
video is
to-
gonna get 1, 2, 3 views. So
I might watch it twice, so
I think
4
Anna
views.
watched a little bit. Enough to
if I
get count
force
the view.
her, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just so important to just constantly pour out inspiration for other people and help inspire other people to make music and be better at what they're doing and so I hope that through our conversation they got something out of it at least.
Mm-hmm.
And if you made it all the way to the end of this video,
you should kill yourself. Yeah, hit me up, hugebeats at gmail.com.
Beautiful studio
with a
here.
Z. That's huge beats with a Z. Okay.
I think that B stands for something else now.
Bingo.
Yeah, huge bingo there.
Huge butts.
Huge butts. Guys' butts is gears is.
All right. Well, good stuff, guys. Awesome.
Bye.